Welcome, 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 welcome. This is the Arena 2013. I am Chima Ott, and most of you know me as the health and wellness advocate. But today, we're going to talk about your financial wellness, aka predatory lending. That's what we're going to talk about today. That's a subject that is really the big elephant in the room. That's why I wore my elephant vest today. It's the elephant in the room. It's the subject that a lot of us don't like to talk about. We don't like to talk about our money. But a lot of our money today is going out of our community, and there are a lot of these predatory lenders cropping up because we don't have money. And I don't like to say that we don't have money. I like to really say that we have financial challenges. And different things happen to different people in situations that we go into these predatory lending institutions and we are taken advantage of. And we really want to shed some light on that today. And I have a specific story that I want to speak about myself, but before I do, I want to introduce our panel today. And to my right is the lovely Elaine Moore Khan. And she has some stories and things to say today, and also some advice, because we're not just going to be here talking about predatory lending. We want to come up with some answers. So hello, Elaine. How are you today?
Thank you, Chi, and it's my absolute pleasure to be here and to share with you and our guests and our audience my experience, and hopefully some helpful advice that I can pass upon our viewers to help them maneuver through some shady practices.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
To your right, we have the King of the Hebrew Israelites. You didn't think I was going to do that, but I did. The King of the Hebrew Israelites. We have Gideon Yasharal.
No, I'm your servant, beautiful Chi. Thank you for allowing me to be on the set. All praises be to the Most High.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing with us today. And to your right, directly across from me, we have the illustrious Elder Sundown, one and only Elder Sundown. Thank you, Elder Sundown, for being here. How are you?
Peace and blessings be unto you, my sister. I'm elated. As I always say to my family and different folks that ask me daily, how am I? I'm like a God standing on the outside of the earth, standing on top of it, on the outside. That's how I feel.
That is awesome. I receive that. I receive that. That's all of us to receive. All of us to receive that. That's right. That's awesome. Yes, we absorb that. We absorb that. We're going to need that for this topic today on these predatory lenders. I'm just going to relay to you a story as this actual event that's actually taking place right now in my life, where I have a Title Max loan. I mean, these places crop up everywhere. You've got Title Max, Title Loan, Atlanta Pawn Company. You know, We Buy Your Gold.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, it's just all over the place in Georgia, and I think it's mostly in the nation itself.
Yes, it is.
And different cities or different states actually have different rates, but most of them are always very, very high. They're mostly in our communities, in the downtrodden, disparity, financially challenged communities. These places are cropping up all over the place, so they must be doing business, or they wouldn't be in existence. And what happened to me was about a year and a half ago. I have a rental property, and for some reason or another, I won't have to go into the details, my tenant flooded the house. And this is in several states away, so when this happened, this is the type of situation that you cannot wait on and say, well, I'll do it later, you know, I'll take care of it another time. You have to do it immediately, or the next thing you know, you've got so much water damage, you've got mold, you've got too much moisture there that you can't even deal with. So I had to immediately get up to, actually it's in Pennsylvania from Georgia. I took a team with me to handle the situation. But before you could even put it through insurance, you're going to need money to buy materials.
Hello.
You're going to need money to put in other people's pockets that sustain them while they're doing the work.
Exactly.
So I went into a predatory lender. I went into Title Max.
Oh man.
I had to because I didn't have $3,000 or $4,000 that I needed out of pocket. It was a large sum of money that you have to have in order to, handle a situation like that.
Get the ball
So
rolling.
I didn't have, $3,000 or $4,000. I went into Title Max and I pawned my vehicle. I did that and I got the money and I handled the situation, which I don't regret because I still have my home there, and it's all taken care of now, and I have a new tenant in there and everything. So give thanks. But I still have the loan, and the loan itself, I think I took out something like maybe $3,900. Right now, I currently still owe about $1,900 of that money, and I'll tell you why. That loan, for every, say for example, $4,000, and I want to tell our listeners this so they can really get a grasp on this, so that they don't do something like this. For every, say, $4,000, you take 10% of that, which is $400.
Right.
You pay that back every month, and that is only the interest. The principal never goes down.
It's not.
The principal never goes down.
I was gonna say that.
Now I want people to really understand that. Now, like I said, I owe $1,900 now. So now for every $190 I pay, that is only the interest.
You're right.
And then on top of that, if I give them an extra $100 a month, guess what? The payment goes down $10.
Wow.
That's how they keep you trapped.
That's
That's how they keep you trapped in those type of loans.
And believe it or not, these entities are supposedly regulated by the Georgia Department of Finance and Banking. Supposedly, these entities are regulated by Georgia Department of Finance and Banking. Now that's saying something, or maybe not.
Yeah, they corrupt. That's what it's saying.
That's exactly what it is.
Because the banking system is the one that set up check cashing, title loan, all of this crap. The banking
Who
system
supposedly regulates these entities.
That's right.
That's
right. And I'm sure we all have similar stories of situations. And Elaine, tell us what some of your information.
Well, long story short, or maybe not so short, but I'll make it as short as I can. I bought a car. Immediately it started to smell what I was sure was oil. Had not started to leak onto the ground, but it was leaking. Had to have valves replaced. That's engine work. And had to have a number of other things done, which were work done rather, which was part of the emissions and a muffler system. And eventually filed a complaint with Clean Air Force Georgia and EPA Environmental Protection Agency and/or Division, and they ruled that the car dealer had obtained a fraudulent emissions test. Okay, they've obtained a fraudulent emissions test. As we speak, the Clean Air Force, who sent me their decision via an email, have not deemed it necessary, which I take offense to send me an official letter or document to this effect. I guess I'm not worthy of such. I'm not worth that much trouble. Sent me an email, and no one has been cited. And in addition to them determining this, the inspection station, according to Mr. Rogers with the Environmental Protection Agency, said the same inspection station has been cited for some kind of infraction or malfeasance before. Has not been cited or not for my particular offense, and is still being allowed to do business. No one has been cited. Okay, so they determined that they cannot. There's not enough information to prove duplicity. Or that to show that the dealer was in compliance, complicitous with this
collusion.
I said, well, okay, then how did you all come to this decision? Well, it was based on an audit of what? The last emissions test. Okay, who conducted this last emission test? Well, the owner that you bought your car from. Okay, well, chances are, then they were the one, the last owner was the one who was duplicitous in this act. But yet and still, you all don't deem it necessary to cite them, or you all can't somehow show that they were in collusion or duplicitous.
So the same thing could go on and on and on with more and more.
Yes, and moreover, I've contacted the governor's office on consumer Consumer Affairs, Georgia Governor's Office, Consumer Affairs Protection, who they do anything but. I said, well, what is your office in place for? It's certainly not to protect the interest of the consumer, because you all don't do that. We don't make the laws, we just enforce them. I said, you all don't even enforce them. They in turn referred me to my senator, politician, or whatever, which I contacted them. In my case, in this case being Senator Fran Miller, who I talked to his secretary, via email and over the phone from November to January when the Senate session convened for this year. And she invited me down to meet Senator Fran Miller and explain to him and, sort of petition him to visit the lemon law, to sort of include the used cars, which he didn't. And when I introduced himself, he seemed a bit perturbed and blew me off when I told him who I was. At that point, I'm sure he was familiar with my name, and he sort of just blew me off, literally. And I did some research went online and did some research on Senator Fran Miller and his background to see how long had he been in office, who were some of his campaign contributors, and I found out some of his main campaign contributors were various entities within the automobile industry, i.e. Georgia Independent Auto Dealer Association, Taggart School of Driving, and some other automobile entity were his main campaign contributors. I said, well, I see why it was not in his best interest to visit the lemon law. As well as Tom Rice with the Department of Automobile Vehicles, and another gentleman with some other agency that lobbies for used auto sales. None of whom are in place to protect the consumer. I will go so far, I will go on the record as saying this, and I do want everyone in the viewing public, everyone out there to hear me and to know this, that Elaine Moore-Kahn goes on record as of today, March 9th, and the day of our Lord 2014. I am emphatically stating that I have never seen or lived in a state that is less consumer friendly as the state of Georgia. And it's a shame, and it's a grave disservice to the consumer. And this good old boy system is in place, and it seems to be impenetrable, much so to our politicians.
And that's why we're talking about it today. And I'm so glad that you gave us that example, Elaine, and we're gonna get back to you on some more of that, but I want to get Gideon in here and find out from you. I mean, what do you say, Gideon? What you say? I know you're a very religious person, and the Bible talks about usury, and what say you?
Well, it is interesting rather, the subject, and when we talk about predatory lending itself, the term identifies what it is, because the predator normally looks for the weak, the diseased, the elderly to attack. But in our communities, we'll look at the history of lending in itself, because as a community, not only does it take a village to raise a child, it takes a village to help raise a village, and its economics are community-based. And when we look at our history, we used to borrow not only sugar, butter, we borrowed money one from another. And there were those of us who've always been industrious and have had the spirit to regulate their finances and maybe had more than they necessarily needed, but because we were generous people, we would give. Well, because we were turning money over in our community, and they didn't control that is the oppressor didn't control that, they then made us lending money to each other illegal.
Wow.
This system now you try to lend people money, because what we were doing, we were lending, we maybe charged 5% or 2%, according to, because these are family people helping others in the community. And when they saw us supporting each other, and we were able to, even the bus boycott was reflective of the network that we had, and how we were able to, these boycotts in general were reflective of our network. They had to infiltrate that. So in order for them to criminalize the poor, which is the alternative scheme of this system, this capitalist agenda is criminalizing the poor, they had to put these predatory loaning entities within our community to help to continue the cycle of the sharecropping scenario that the Southern agricultural, agrarian, historical philosophy has taught them. So what we find, the predatory lending scenario is really a new form of sharecropping. To where they keep you indebted, they unload all these unrighteous, unlawful interest rates on the poor. Just like, but see, this is what America does. They capitalize off of the poor. And now not only capitalizing, they are using the other C word, criminalizing the poor. Because if they can't get you, now if you poor and they can't get you because you poor, they're going to put you in jail so they can make some money off you being poor. So this is what we're looking at, and that's the poison, one of the main poisons that we have to fight against.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Thank you for that background and history. And I know that Elder Sundown, we were talking prior to the show, and he has some history that I think is very valuable to share about when this all started. Elder Sundown, can you elaborate on that?
I came to Atlanta April of 1974. We had banks in our communities, and they were ran by us. Slowly, by the late 70s, early 80s, the banks started disappearing and they started setting up the check cashing places. Then I found out in the early 90s that the banks is the one that own the check cashing place. They the one that fund the money to set up the check cashing place.
Oh man.
So, like he was saying, this is deliberately set up to keep us poor and to keep them making money off of us like they did during slavery. It's a new form of slavery. Because without finance, now, much of this is our fault too. Yes, we have people that infiltrate our groups, whether it be religious, financially, whatever the case may be. If we was to start, these infiltrators, start dealing with them, others would think twice about coming in and relaying information back to the enemy to keep us in the predicament we in. Also, this is something that was told to me, and by the grace of Allah, I have not had to do this, even though what you said, things happen. I was told, stay away from pawn shops and loan shops. When I set foot in Atlanta, Georgia, April of 1974, my brother told me, stay away from pawn shops and loan. I've been in Atlanta almost past 40 years, and I've been into some difficult situations where I needed finance, but Allah always brought somebody. I guess because of how I present myself, how I never have taken advantage of people, that He always sent somebody with some money. Now I'm gonna get to my mother's and then I'll throw it back to you. She took a grant out for $10,000 in the late 90s.
A grant?
A grant.
Okay.
To have somebody to write the grant for her.
Okay.
She was gonna get a house and start in-home care, daycare.
Gotcha. Okay.
Which she did. Okay, when she first shared it with me, I said, Mother, once you get the paperwork, don't sign nothing.
Right.
Fax the information to me, and I got somebody I trust that'll look off into this.
Right.
Don't sign nothing. Fortunately, she didn't listen to her eldest son. She went on and signed. Not only did it hurt her financially, but they didn't give her the house that the amount of money that was put down on the house that she's supposed to receive. Fast forward, this took place in 2000.
Right.
Because that's when the grant came through.
Right.
Fast forward to 2005. Some of the young ladies that she was taking care of their children, they lost their grants or they couldn't pay.
Right.
So she lost some of her clients. She gets in trouble with the house. Okay. She sent me the paperwork. Me and this person started looking off into this. Found out the people that wrote the grant and stuff took half of the grant money. They didn't put the 10,000, they put 5,000. In other words, they lied to my mother, say she didn't get but 5, but really she got 10.
Wow.
So by them taking half of the grant money, that made her house note more higher, almost $500.
Wow.
In a second-class house.
That's right. That's right.
So in 2005, that's when we started the fight, which led up to, like I told you, December of last year, when they took the house.
Exactly.
They got a crooked judge and a crooked lawyer outside of Fitzgerald.
That's right.
Because the people in Fitzgerald that know my mother,
wouldn't have let
they wouldn't do it.
Right.
Plus the lady from here that I got involved for the federal government when President Obama signed in the law in February '09 for the real estate folks and the banking system to leave seniors alone about their home, and if they still had notes, bring it down to their income.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay. So white folks said, we don't care what he signed in. We ain't participating.
Exactly.
Because that's what they did in South Georgia.
Right.
So since the lady from the federal government took paperwork down there and put it in the courthouse record that my mother didn't have to leave that house. They got a judge from another little town.
That's right.
Wow.
And a lawyer from the real estate company.
That's right.
To come in and force my mama out the house.
That's right. Wow. That's right.
Which means that the local peoples where my mother lived ain't had no power, no jurisdiction, or they were just punked out. I say they were punked out.
Right.
Because if I'm a judge and you a judge, I can challenge you. Hell, we both judges.
Right.
But if I'm a ferocious judge and you a punk judge, then I get to stand and you get to lay down like a lapdog.
Exactly.
But I'm serving notice, like she said, on record. Allah already done told me what he gonna do to every one of them down there in South Georgia. And sundown ain't gonna have to lift a damn finger. He gonna use the forces of nature to take every damn one of you out. He already done promised that to me. That's why I don't worry.
That's right.
I don't get upset. I ain't finna get no guns. Cause the creed already done told me what he gonna do to every one of them.
And that's just, the karma that, these people
cause and effect.
The law of cause and effect. You cannot continue to do something without an effect taking place.
Exactly.
So if you continue to do wrong, guess what? Wrong gonna come back on you.
Exactly.
So Elaine, I want to hear more about your story though. Tell me a little more about your.
Well, it's interesting and how it's continually unfolding as the buck is being passed, and I often find myself having to laugh because with each time the buck is passed to one hierarchy from one hierarchy to another, and no one is able to do anything, and I say you're unable to or you're unwilling to. Which is the more operative word. And I tell them, well, I'm not going to go away until I get some semblance of justice, until these people are cited and they are revealed to the lecherous, predatory creatures that they are. And not only that our do-nothing elected politicians that we put in office and who we entrust to look out for our best interest are revealed to be the in-the-pocket politicians they are, and who abide by the good old boy system. And Georgia is put on the spotlight to be the very non-consumer friendly state that it is.
That's right. That's
and
right.
you know, these laws and that are put in place by our politicians that we elect, they are not to our advantage. They're to our disadvantage.
Yes.
And these politicians who put these laws in place, they're to their advantage because they're somehow capitalizing on these laws.
Yes,
And
yes.
these corporations who you know, they're benefiting from these laws are contributing to these politicians' campaigns. Where in fact they're keeping them in office.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's not to their advantage to correct these wrongs, to make these wrongs right, even if it is to the chagrin or the disadvantage of the consumer. And what is this country, this world, without the consumer?
That's right. That's right. And it just goes back to, you know, when I was growing up, you know, I was always taught to follow the golden rule. You know, to do unto others as you would have others do unto you. But their rule is the one who has the gold makes the rules.
Exactly.
You know, and I mean, is that's a ludicrous way of thinking or not?
I go back to the 1900s when Hallmarks, Rothschild, and all the boys with the gold said they don't care who become president, they don't care who become governor, mayor, long as they control the money. They can control the presidents, the governors,
And which they do.
Yes.
and now the Jewish people that own the Federal Reserve that print the money that we spend. See, most people think the Federal Reserve is owned by the people, which is the government. That's
private.
independent.
Private.
That's
And I
right.
didn't
It's
know that.
owned by a group of people.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I haven't always known that.
That's right.
Yeah, they
And
print the
Gideon-
money we spend.
And Gideon, I know you talk somewhat about the oligarchy oftentimes. Tell us what you think about that.
Well, the oligarchy really is just a fancy word for the ruling elite, who are the wealthy, those who create and have the resources to create the departments, organizations, and disciplines to control the rest of us. But see, the elder often talks about the 80s. And if you remember the 80s, you have to remember the S&L failure.
Right.
Savings and loan industry, which is, once again, the predatory lending scenario.
Exactly.
Because prior to that time, the savings and loans were the ones that were coming into our community,
Yes.
giving us mortgages that were inflated, not
Yes.
based on the income, but based on the projections. And then they did it to such an extent. They said after this took place, it was the greatest transfer of wealth that they've seen since slavery.
Wow.
Where they came in, infiltrated our communities. But see, you have to understand, there's another element to this. The other element is the number of our children that have been getting certified in these S&Ls, in real estate, in various disciplines, that we were just so happy that they got these jobs,
Yes.
but not knowing that they were holding the Satan's pitchfork.
Yes.
Because they were making good money in the S&L, in real estate, in savings,
Yes.
but they were the one who was supposed to be deciphering the codes and educating our people
Exactly.
about the technology that is found in the codes that they use in real estate and in law. But rather than deciphering and being an advocate for the people, because America teaches rugged individualism, you know, capitalize for yourself, mama and them got, so I'm gonna get it, whether I get it for mama or you.
Wow.
Mama and them.
So they, therefore, rather than subjugating themselves to fight against a corrupt system, they enrich themselves by taking the crumbs from their own families that fell from the corrupt table of these real estate agents, the mortgage companies. See, many of these companies are owned and ran by us.
Yes.
Some of them.
And the vast majority of them are men and women.
Yes.
But women outnumber us. So women know essentially what's going on. But women now in America are living a lot better than they're saying than people are living in other countries. But if you look at the health condition of women in this country, if you look at the heart rate of people, women dying, and you look at the stress levels of women and what's happening with families and our children, all of this is related to the pressures put upon us by those predatory loans, the pressures of capitalism and us trying to survive,
Yes.
and we end up turning inward toward on each other rather than fighting the system that's setting it up. So because we love our children having this money and these jobs, but we don't understand the big picture of them being involved in these corrupt industries that are pilfering
now,
the nation.
I want to
Go ahead, Elder.
extend on the 80s. This is a discussion that my brother and I have been discussing for decades. Okay, we got certain blacks in the hierarchy accumulate a certain amount of wealth. But once they die off, what happened to the wealth?
Go back to white folk.
That's what I'm talking about. Why the wealth can't come to us?
Exactly.
Since the person came out of us. But yet, like he's saying, our people make millions of dollars through athletes, through entertainment, through sports, etc. But once they reach their peak or they die off or they get sick, the wealth never come to their people, not even their immediate family.
Right. That's right.
Now, this politic thing, I've been studying it since I voted in the 70s when Carter became president, Jimmy Carter. I often wonder that our peoples, I mean, I'm considering just speaking on black folks now that's in politics, come to us or go to black churches and say what they gonna do on our interests, on our behalf. With a straight face. Jesus, and whatever other religion name you can name. But yes, they get in there. They fall short. So in the 90s, it hit me that most people that run for politics or office, it's a little corrupt in them already. So it don't take that much for it to come out.
They create the ballot baits already.
Somebody said to me one time, you ought to be, this was in the 90s, why don't you become a preacher? Why don't you become that? You are so knowledgeable and you very strong and charismatic. I said, every time I see a brother and sister that claim that they are right and they believe in the Creator of the Most High, they get in there and they become corrupt. I said, now if I go up in there and they can't corrupt me, what gonna happen to me?
They gonna
kill you,
Well, I wouldn't say they gonna kill me.
There's too much history saying they will.
I said if I survive 15 car wreck, no, they gonna kill me. It's just I won't get a damn thing done.
Exactly.
I just sit in my office every day with nothing done, but they ain't fit to kill me.
Look at your president right here. It's the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
A pawn.
He is a
political pawn.
Exactly.
He's a country, our country's figurehead, but he's nothing more than a political pawn.
Exactly.
He's our country's figurehead.
Exactly.
But he's a political pawn.
But don't you think there's strength in numbers?
Oh,
I mean, you know, if
absolutely.
the general
Absolutely.
population, if we can continue to have shows like this, raise the consciousness of humanity, of people, and we as a group say, no more. We're not going to have no more predatory lending. We're not going to have any more high interest rates. You know, we're gonna come together because they can't kill masses of people like they can one person here, one person there.
Well, you know, Elaine made an important point, and it was talking in reference to a pre-statement, a pre-program statement. He was talking to Elder and saying, in reference to his mother, that a lot of times we deal with emotion because we don't have the education to underpin or support the emotion. See, charismatic leaders, like many that have come along, that's just it. They have charisma that generates an emotional response that is galvanized by marching and up.
But you got to have something to go along with that to substantiate that.
Now therein lies my point. See, you've got to have something more. And see, the issue of us in this country is that they have a 200 and some odd year head start on us. Because the white system of white supremacy and white privilege was established before they even got here. They just put it in gear once they brought us over and made us their present slaves and their past slaves. We've never come out of slavery. And see, now, not only have we made you a slave, they've taken away your name, like they said in the movie Secret Agent, like, oh, they take away your name and giving you take away your number and giving you take away your name and giving you a number.
Yes.
So this is exactly what they've done, and it's all about criminalizing the poor.
Now, I'm going to go back to what he said when the show started. It's a mind thing.
Exactly.
Now, as I said to him, this knowledge is out here.
Yes.
This damn internet thing took off in 2000. What do our people do? Put their naked ass on Facebook, all this on. See, it's us. You can't tell me. I don't care how many shows we have until you make your mind up.
Decide, make a conscious decision.
Then I'm going to get real knowledge. Folks say, well, doctors used to say to me when I would get in a tangle with them, well, what university you went to? I said,
University of Common Sense.
And the creator.
That's right.
Okay.
So I'm saying to you, beloved,
Yes.
yeah, we got shows like this.
Right.
But until we make my mind, like I said, with this
decision.
internet and all, so in love with it. There's so much information that could bind us together, like what you're talking about, and cut down, not kill it all, but cut down on so much stuff being done to us. But we'll love
the internet can actually be helpful, could be beneficial, very beneficial too. You know, we need to come together in unison, and there's just so much more that we could do if we just came together in unison.
But see, this is the thing, and I must refute and not disrespectfully. It's not about numbers. That's what the white man wants you to think. Because if it's about numbers, it's a wrap for us. They outnumber us. So the issue is, it's about the power of right, justice, equity, truth. Ultimately, those principles are they're gonna win out. See, lying,
they don't outnumber us though. Where's more of
us? I hear what you're saying.
There's more of us.
But see, enough of us come together under those premises you just outlined.
Exactly.
Enough of us coming together under those premises that you just outlined.
Yes.
But see, again, it has to be more. See, a revolution has to have more than just emotional.
Of course,
it has to have
unbridled
a structural component.
And I want to go back to when we were talking about the internet, because prior to the show I went online and I looked at a couple of things, and I just want to read it had where it said 10 reasons you'll never be rich. Now, of course, we'll never be rich anyway financially when the oligarchy, the 1%'s got most of the wealth.
We already rich.
But we are rich in abundance in the ways that we really need to be. Exactly. I want to qualify that. This is financially, and this is just some tips that I looked at to tell our viewers about financially, because we are already rich in many ways that are more valuable than the paper money that has no value on it anyway.
Tangible rich.
Exactly. So number one, it says you spend too much. We have people that are into the bling bling, into the show that look like they got and don't got much of nothing. Okay, so that's number one. We spend too much. And number two, you save too little. Now, if I would have had, some savings, which I did, prior to that incident where they flooded my home in Pennsylvania and other states, then I could have just taken money from savings and went on up there and did what I needed to do. Now, I did have money, years ago when I was, in corporate America, but, everyone who knows my story know what happened when, I spent my money on health and wellness, and I don't regret
You're not missing anything.
And that's okay, because like I say, the money's not worth the paper it's written on anyway. So that's number two. You save too little. And number three is that you carry too much debt.
That's right. Good.
We should live within our means. Live within our means. Number four, you pay too many fees. Fees here, fee there.
The poor man never gets a good deal.
That's right.
Poor man never gets a good deal.
Number five, you pass up free money. Now, sometimes there's opportunities to get money that we don't even, either have access to knowing about.
That's right.
Or just passing it up.
And usually it's the first.
Exactly.
That's
We
right.
don't know about
That's
it.
right. We don't know.
That knowledge is not passed on to our
Exactly.
community.
Number 6 is if you're working, you should be saving for some type of retirement. Now, they had online a 401k, but of course that's their banking, financial savings plan. I'm talking about savings for retirement in our own way, okay? And if you're into the market about buying high and selling low, and that's with a lot of different type of commodities that we have. And a lot of times we sell ourselves short because we are such a rich people.
Yes.
I mean, I have seen our people have an abundance of so many gifts.
Right.
I'm just in awe of our people, of the gifts that we have.
And we often don't realize ourselves.
Exactly.
And number 8 is you're buying everything new. We don't need everything new.
Exactly.
When I bought my car that I pawned, it wasn't new.
Right.
And I actually paid for it. That's why I was able to pawn it.
That's right.
And
I didn't need to, buy brand new.
I've yet to have a new car in my life.
You say you got that off the internet, right?
I got this off the internet. This is what I'm talking about. I got 2 more, brother, and then I'll come to you. The last one it is that you stop working too soon, but that's another story, about that oligarchy having a job, but and then the last one is that you don't invest in yourself. Investing in yourself, because I believe in my spirituality that the Most High gave us gifts in order to be able to sustain ourselves.
Certainly.
We don't have to go out and work for other people so much to say.
Right.
And if we had these communities, and we were talking just prior to this about the community gardens. So, Elder Sundown, go ahead. I want to hear what you have to say.
That list I've been knowing about that list since the 80s.
Yes.
Do you know how much hell I used to catch going out preaching what you just said?
Especially
They used to jump on me.
Especially
Leave me alone. It's my damn money. If I want to throw it out the window.
Especially back
You know how much
then,
hell I used to catch.
when it was taboo.
From people who-
especially
From
back
people,
then.
relatives, folks I knew what I saw wasting.
Yeah.
I used to have a
Wasting money.
homeboy. He was into the drug thing. His house was so much stuff that he bought.
Right.
Didn't use none of it.
Right.
The house caught on fire and burned all of it up.
Just,
Wow.
man, just indulging.
But I used to raise so much sand when I was
indulging it,
when I was
anything.
coming up in the nation and going to them classes about this stuff we talking about, which means Elijah Muhammad with a 4th grade education
That's right.
built $100 million
Yes,
industry
yes.
That's right.
back in the 50s and the 60s.
with his
right,
bare hands by himself.
I always take that in consideration.
That's right.
Now, through Minister Farrakhan, the nation done went through a rough time from the time it fell, but it's on the way back. We got farmland in Georgia, Alabama. All he asks is who can send $18. I think it's about 5 cents a day. It turn out to about $18 a month, which that gonna the not only farmland, grocery store, but housing, banking, all the stuff we sitting here talking about. Now, the key point: what would it take to get our people to listen to that 10 program that you just described? Because I'm telling you, I've been raising hell since the 80s about what you just read. That we waste, we spend too much. We want like the bling bling, we like showing off, we like keeping up with the Joneses.
And I wonder, where does that mentality come from within?
It was forced on us. It was forced on us. But
from
see,
slavery, oppression.
Well, it was forced on during the civil rights movement when we left our enclaves and then were forced into, with the mindset of Martin Luther King and the agenda of those integrationists who would say that it was better for us to leave what was ours or what we thought, what we could use that they had allowed us to have, and go to their neighborhoods, their restaurants. Once we began to be infiltrated into their society, we looked at the surface.
Yes.
Which they always, you know, the big buildings, big chairs, big this, big that.
The opulence
and it made us look,
excessiveness.
our stuff look like, oh man.
Nothing. This is pictures.
Right. So we had great food.
So we had to graduate.
We had beautiful houses, but when we compared it to their stuff that they had stole and lied and cheated to get, then you know, like, all of a sudden our stuff became exactly. It's like Buckhead versus Bankhead.
Right.
So there's a mentality. But see, again, now you have to, when you talk about some of those things, even America itself, its credit rating has dropped. Why? Because they buy. They don't sell. This is the philosophy that the country is perpetrating and fomenting into its populace. So at the end of the day, if the country had a reasonable understanding of its own finances, remember America is the #1 debtor nation among the League of Nations.
Major consumer.
And so their credit rating has dropped twice. So again, this is, and of course, America pushes credit on you. You can, I mean,
you're a number.
If you're in college, you got your college debts, unless there's a very small percentage of our children that have scholarships or can get grants. So all of this is designed to push debt on the children before they can even get a job. So you're in debt. So that's how this country operates, and that's why this system of predatory lending is at the epicenter of white supremacy, white control, and the manipulation of the economics of our community, and is designed to keep us down.
And can permeate itself
absolutely. And self-perpetuate.
Now, I want to say one thing. Just like we had great civilization before this one, they had wealth abundantly.
Exactly.
They went down too because they went against the order.
That's right. Corruption
that was set up
by
the Creator.
That's right.
So I'm saying this country going down too.
You know, that was an Egyptian
if it keep going on the path they're going and keep mistreating.
That's right.
Allah righteous peoples, which is us.
That's right.
They keep mistreating us. This country going down.
Yes,
and I don't give a damn what nobody think out there in TV land. I don't care, because I know the history of creation. And no civilization, I don't care how great it was, as long as it mistreated its holy folks, didn't it was destroyed.
That's right. That's right.
And history has shown that repeatedly.
So you were saying about Egypt.
In Egyptian culture, pretty much like the culture in which we live now, you know, it showed all of the evils and the promise and the opulence, and it just destroyed itself.
Babylon,
Greece,
Rome, many cultures.
So greed is the
what makes people think America is exempt. See, you know, that's what
you
white
know,
folks and black people think. Nothing can happen to this
God
country.
needs to bless
that's
America.
The biggest lie that
Well, see, this is the thing. Our people love America. Hello, somebody has a wake-up call.
And you know, God needs to have mercy on this country.
Have mercy.
He has.
Because you know what he has? Because this country has a lot to give an account for.
Absolutely.
This country has a lot to give an account for, and he needs to have mercy on the world.
Yes.
And he does.
Well, it's going to sink this bad boy. It's a wrap for this one.
You know, America is going to implode. It's going to destroy itself and is from within. From within. It's not going to take an outside force to come in and destroy America. America is going to implode. We are going to destroy from within. It's not going to take an outside force.
So I want to go around and just ask each one of you, though, what do you think are some of the solutions, some more of the solutions of what we can do about this predatory lending situation? Elaine, you go first.
Well, you know what? As a people, we need to educate ourselves. We need to empower ourselves, and we need to know that, we have some authority, and there are things that we can do, and we need to be much more proactive. We need to educate ourselves, and we need to empower. Educate and empower.
And you spoke a little bit before the show about a petition that may be happening soon.
Yes, there is. There is a link whose information escapes me at the moment, but there is a link to which everyone can go, and at this link is information how one can get started on circulating a petition for whatever your cause is, a just cause.
Well, the color of
That
change is a link that, and until you get that one in particular you're referring to, I know they can go to the color of change. They do, yes, colorofchange.org, and they do petitions on many different subjects. And I'll just say briefly, for me, the way things are going to change is, again, like Elder Sundown said, and I'll reiterate, it is a mindset. That mindset has to come through legal precedent, however. The change has to come through law. Yeah. If everything that we've gotten up until this point has been consequential or charismatic, whether it's Jesse Jackson calling us African Americans, or just give me a second. So the issue of change for our people, it has to do with identity. And our identity has been mired in white supremacy and the control as they miseducate us. So in order for, predatory lending is only one component, whether it's redlining, gentrification, miseducation, experimentation. I mean, it goes to the crack of dawn. So at the end of the day, the fight has to be a legal one. It has to be for the identification of our people so that we can be reckoned among the nations as more than just a number.
Okay, Elder Sundown.
My answer is when our peoples can take that 10 list that you just named, but stop spending so much, stop getting new things that you know they only last for a month, then you toss them aside because the euphoria wear off, you know, and take information. Since I'm talking about our people that's so in love with this internet, go on there and get righteous information, and like you say, learn about the legality that you can fight against the opposition of what's been set in motion. Just make your mind up that you're not going to follow America in her nonsense no more, because it's a death sentence.
Exactly.
And you know what, we also
what do you think, by the way?
Well, I agree with Elder Sundown, and I think there's a lot of things that, you know, we can be doing and thinking about it. And I do believe that it does start in the mind. And I do believe that it is also about raising the consciousness of individuals. And I believe that on many different levels, and I've heard of, it's called the 100th monkey. And they had these monkeys on an island, I think it was in Japan, that they were hungry, but they had all this food around them, but it was dirty. And one monkey went down to the river or to the ocean, and he washed the piece of fruit off. And when the other monkeys on the island saw him do that, they went down and they started washing the fruit. And as they started washing the fruit and eating, after so many monkeys did that, and they say it was around 100 monkeys, other monkeys on other islands and other places of the planet started doing that. So I believe that the consciousness of the people, that if we raise the consciousness and become like that experiment of 100 people or 1,000 people or 1,000,000 people that raise the consciousness, that we can effectively make that change. But we also have to do it on many different levels. So it's not only a spiritual fight, it's a physical, mental, emotional, it's a fight on every front, because guess what? We're at war.
It is.
We're at war.
Absolutely.
And you know, when things are being affected on every level with our food, our water, and our air, we are at war.
Yes.
And if people don't realize that and recognize it, let me tell them right now.
Now,
we're
I want to say, start with self first. Clean you up.
That's right. That's right.
Get yourself together first.
That's right.
Because that's what I did. I took 10 years from 1980 to clean up Sundown.
All right.
To get it, to get my diet right, to get my thinking right, enlighten me, build my mental capacity up.
Spiritual,
you have to
physical.
come at me to break me and call it. And I'm talking about plenty done tried. And I ain't talking about no little old, I'm talking about powerful people. You got to go some, because I build up a strength
And it's a process
Yeah,
It's a
on
process.
many levels.
So
on many
And I want to
levels.
give Gideon the final word. Gideon.
Well, no, I was going to give Ellen because she was about to speak and
Well,
Okay.
you know, it's a process, one of which takes place on many levels, and it starts with a sense of self, and conscious.
Yes.
You know,
yes,
sense of
yes.
self, true sense of self, and conscious, and not buying into just anything.
Yes.
Well, I will say this. You have already spoken into existence the reality of the war, and the theater of war is this studio and the minds and the kingdoms in the minds of the people that
Yes,
watch.
yes.
That's where the battle
Kingdom.
began,
That's
and that's
right.
where it ends, and the battle is on.
That's right. And there you have it. I want to just say about those predatory lending institutions, the title pawns, the title maxes, the pawn shops.
This
Don't
serves
go
as
in
notice.
there. Don't go in there. I'm
serves
taking
as
it from
notice.
me. I've already experienced that. Don't use me as an example to say, you know, I see what happened to her. A year and a half later, I still have a loan, and
you do nothing,
know,
politicians.
I don't advocate going in the title maxes, title pawn, title loan places.
That's
so
right.
thanks for joining us today, and I want to thank our panel for
Thank you, baby girl.
Thank you.
Experience.
Yeah.
It's been very
Thank you,
powerful.
Bill.
No,
Thank you.
definitely.
Appreciate
Very
everybody
powerful.
for coming and voicing their
It's been an
opinion.
absolute pleasure.
Thank you so
Very
much.
powerful.
Thank you
The
so
war
much.
is on.
Stay away from those leeches.
That's right.
You lousy politicians.
That's right.
Nah.
That's right. That's why we got to vote. That's why we
Oh,
got to vote.
whoa, no, she didn't say
Yes,
that.
I did. That's why we got to
We was
vote.
going out good. We was gonna vote for the white man.
We're going out with the bang.
We ain't gonna vote for white. And you know, my name